This has been an absolute PR nightmare for Call of Duty and for Activision. We know that Activision has been accused of some pretty bad things within their company recently, so I find it really funny that they were trying to take the high road and act like they were better than everybody else, removing NickMercs from the game for simply saying that they should leave kids out of the Pride celebrations, leave kids out of the sexuality conversations, and then they released that statement saying that they are unable to celebrate Pride with their employees in the LGBT community without having children involved. It's like, how much more mask off could you get that you're a groomer? If like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, how do you think that you are on the good side? How do you think that you're on the right side of history when you're saying things like you are unable to have sexual conversations, have sexual celebrations and things like that with your employees and with the LGBT community without children involved? It's like the same thing happened in Florida where they banned they banned, you can't be naked in front of children. And they're like, all right, well, there's no point in even having these parades anyway. I'm just going to take my ball and go home. If that's the case, if I can't even get naked in front of children, then what's really the point of this whole thing? You know, it's like, how much more mask off could you possibly get? But Call of Duty is also getting caught getting ratioed on tweets and deleting them afterwards. They've deleted a whole bunch of tweets. I think it was like 4 or 5 tweets they've deleted so far. And at first, everybody was like, you know, let's just chill. It was probably like a typo in the tweet. They probably put the wrong date for a release date of something, and that's why they deleted it. But it seems like that's not the case. You don't delete 4 or 5 tweets in a row, or, you know, in the last couple of days without it being a different reason, an external reason. And the reason I think it's pretty obvious is that they're getting absolutely ratioed and destroyed on all of these tweets. You can see the desperate attempts in the comments to reply to these tweets that are kind of about the content that they're talking about the actual Call of Duty game. They're trying to reply to them to get them to go to the top of the replies, but it doesn't even matter. Like, look at Drunk3PO, 384 likes on Leave Children Alone. My boy Philip says Leave Children Alone. This picture is really hilarious. It's a Call of Duty game cover, and it says, welcome to the groomer force. I'm sure that one's going to get a whole bunch of likes. Call of Duty's latest tweet has arrived. Leave Children Alone. D-Day Cobra, Leave Children Alone, already has more likes than the Call of Duty tweet itself. So you get the picture. This is on every single tweet, by the way. I just pulled up their most recent 3 tweets, and it's the same exact thing. You know, they're tweeting about the content of Call of Duty. They're not trying to make any political statements in these tweets, even though they've already made their stance clear. So you have to, you know, you made your bed. It's time to lie in it. And there's a ton of people. Nobody's talking about the game. It's all leave kids alone, whatever, leave children alone. It's the same thing on every single tweet, and that's why they're deleting them. And I think that's just very, very much coward behavior. If you're going to say things, you have to stand by it, and you have to be willing to, you know, stand in the fire. You have to be willing to take the backlash that comes with it, or backtrack on it, or apologize and say, you know what, we didn't actually mean that. We shouldn't have removed NickMercs from the game. We're going to reinstate him. You know, you either have to take that stance, or you have to stand on your previous stance of removing NickMercs from the game for simply saying children shouldn't be involved in Pride celebrations and sexuality conversation. Because that's really not a controversial statement. Like, most people out there who have any sort of common sense, most people who are on the common sense side of things can also agree that leaving children out of sexuality conversations should just be a widely accepted thing. Like, we should all be able to agree upon children being outside of LGBT conversations, or any sort of like straight, gay, whatever it is, any sort of sexuality conversations. We should all be able to agree upon children should be left out of those things. But for some reason, this community, this Pride community, just cannot stand when people say to leave children out of things for whatever reason. Like I said, that stuff in Florida was a complete mask off moment. This Call of Duty stuff, this Activision stuff is a complete mask off moment. Whenever, you know, you don't even want to celebrate Pride anymore if you can't have children involved, that's when you know that things are getting bad. Just take a step back for a second. Think about the things that you are saying. You can't celebrate Pride with your employees in the LGBT community if children aren't involved. Like, are you like, just take a step back for a second and really think about what you're saying. Really think about why that is. Why can you not celebrate Pride without children being involved? Why do you think that is? It's because you're ill. You're sick in the head. And, you know, like I said, you need to take a step back and really understand what you're saying here. Another tweet from Call of Duty talking about CDL champs. It says, one more day. And a lot of people are saying the exact same thing. I have a better concept. Just hear me out. Leave children alone. One more day of ratios. Leave children alone. Call of Duty Warzone with the Pride flag in the back. Why have PS5 got it already? So that one's actually about the actual game. First prize, all expenses trip to Epstein Island. Jeez, dude. Like, they're just getting absolutely obliterated, man, in the comments. Here is an article from TPUSA. It says Call of Duty faces potential boycott for LGBTQ stance. And there's a lot of people out there who are saying that they want to boycott Call of Duty. There's a lot of streamers out there like DrDisrespect who are saying that you should uninstall the game, stop buying all DLCs, things like that. So they could be facing a serious boycott. And I think that's probably making them pretty scared, because you're seeing what's happening with Bud Light, saw what happened with Target, things like that. And I think that the Bud Light boycott, the Target boycott, all these other boycotts that are happening right now are kind of the main reason why all of these corporations, why all these companies are so quick to backtrack on their pride stuff. Like, we're seeing so many companies, a lot more than normal. And let me know if I'm crazy in the comments. I'm seeing a ton of companies out there who on June 1st had their pride logos and everything like that. But on June 2nd, they removed it. Or maybe June 5th, they removed it. A few days after, they removed their pride logos. And I think that's because of how strong of a stance the Bud Light boycott has, and also the Target boycott, and just people coming over to the common sense side of things and being very outspoken about it. Being very outspoken about the fact that we're just tired of this BS, man. There's a ton of people coming over to this side now. Even people who are in the LGBTQ community are also saying, like, all right, this is getting a little bit ridiculous now. If we're getting to the point where we can't say simply leave children out of these conversations, like, I don't want to be involved in this either. And that's where I think people are really starting to wake up to the thing where they're like, all right, let's just stop putting the pride flag in things. Let's just stop doing this Pride Month BS, because it's only going to lose us money. It's only going to cause us more harm than it is good. And that's why all these corporations are wising up to it, like the MLB. I think they removed their pride logo 2 days after Pride Month, 2 days after they uploaded it. All these companies, all these corporations are finally learning, and Call of Duty is just next in the way. You know, Call of Duty, they didn't learn yet. They thought that they were still doing the right thing. They thought they were still going to be praised and on the right side of history by removing NickMercs from the game for simply saying, leave children alone. And they just weren't. It's just not working out that way anymore. The tide is turning. People are finally starting to wake up to the disgusting things that these people are defending, and the disgusting actions that they're carrying out, like getting naked in front of the White House. It's just time for all of these corporations to learn. You know, we tried for the longest time to take the high road, say that we're against cancel culture, say that we should stop canceling people. And, you know, it's just time to fight fire with fire, man. It's time for us to boycott ourselves. It's time for us to actually take money out of these corporations' pockets and really let our voices be heard, and let them know that if you do disgusting things like this, if you not only do them but defend them in any way or platform them in any way, you could face similar consequences to Bud Light and to Target. Let me know what you guys think though about this Call of Duty situation. I think this is probably going to be pretty bad for them financially, at least PR wise. It's going to be really bad for Call of Duty, and definitely for Activision. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments about this whole Call of Duty situation.